Before we begin, want to give a massive shout out to Palworld Rate as well as Pal Professor. Without these two creators, I would not be able to make this video. Their insights as well as their spreadsheets have been absolutely a game changer for anyone who plays Palworld. I will have their channels linked down in the description. Go check those guys out if you want a more in-depth look at Palworld as a whole. Alright, for our very first pal, we're going to go under grass and we're going to talk about Savants. Now, the reason why I'm starting with Savants is because this pal is by far the best grass pal. I don't think there's a contender that even comes close. Now, I want to be clear on the metrics when we talk about these pals, just so you have an idea of what we're going for here. When we talk about combat pals, we talk about everything under combat, not just the flat damage numbers. In a lot of cases, a lot of the best here will be the highest damage numbers, but in some nuanced cases, their damage numbers isn't the whole story. Hitboxes are something that should be taken into consideration. If the player can control them, their contribution with their partner skill, how good their exclusive skill is, so on and so forth. In the case of Savants, that isn't the case. This one is just simply better than most. Their exclusive skills, Spore Burst as well as Giant Spore, are some of the best grass skills in the entire game. And when we put them up against other pure grass based pals, it does have a clear edge over the others, with Leyline coming in second. Overall, if you're looking for the best grass pal, Savants is going to be your best option. Now, in order to find Savants, you're going to come over here to the world tree and locate it at this teleporter all the way down here, the Shine Spore route. You're going to go here and face off against him within the Shine Spore route location. A pretty cool boss fight altogether, and probably one of my favorite pals I've seen thus far. Alright, for our next pals, we're going to be talking about the Dark Pals. And one thing I want to address immediately is the Frost Stallion Noct. In my last couple of videos, I've gotten quite a few comments of people specifically saying Frost Stallion Noct is the best dark pal in the game, and it's just generally overall the strongest. And I want to be very clear that while this was the case maybe some time ago, in the current 1.0 patch, Frost Stallion Noct is not the strongest pal. There's actually two pals that are stronger than Frost Stallion Noct, the main being Bellinor, the other one will be Necromus. Now keep in mind, I don't have Necromus captured in this game, so I may have to go grab him soon. But Bellinor is by far the best dark pal in the game right now. The main reason for this is Bellinor's exclusive skills are just outstandingly better than Frost Stallion Noct by quite a bit. And this is the main deciding factor when we talk about why this pal is much better. Even when we compare it to Necromus, for example, Necromus just simply have a better hitbox. It makes it way more superior to someone like Frost Stallion. So while Frost Stallion is definitely a pal that you should consider, and I want to be very clear when I'm talking about each of these pals, you definitely can play all three of these. There's no, you can't like pick these up and they'll be good and effective in what they do. Absolutely, every one of these pals can be played in their own way. This one is just a little Bellinor specifically is just a bit better. Necromus is just a bit better, but don't be afraid to use Frost Stallion or even Shadowbeak for that matter. He is a very solid pal as well. Now, if I pronounce any of the pals in this game wrong, feel free to correct me, but don't flame me. I sometimes have a problem pronouncing right names. Anyway, to find this pal, you need to go do the fight. You can do the Astral Frost Caverns in the pal expedition. This is like a level 22 unlock, or pretty much it seems like pretty much any of these. But the better pals you have, the more likely you'll get rewards for it. So, you know, go ahead and go do that. The other way to do it is how I actually got the slab. And that was just doing anything in this frost zone, these dungeons. I went to this dungeon specifically, and I went in, you got a slab for it. Though there's plenty of other dungeons in this region. I think there's like 8 in this region or something. So hit the dungeons, finish them up, and you can get a slab and instantly go in and farm this pal. Next, let's take a look at fire. Now, this one is going to be Inoculum Ignis. This is easily my current favorite pal in the game. He just looks so incredible. And the reason why we're choosing Inoculum Ignis is simply because while his attack is, I believe, the 4th highest base attack of all pals in the game, one thing you have to keep in mind is when we look at his partner skill, Iron Guardian mode, this increases his attack by 60 and his defense by 60% for a limited time. Now, I've said this before many times. I don't know what they mean by limited time because it lasts a pretty good amount of time. But also, in addition to this, whenever it's fully maxed out, this goes up to 210% on defense and offense. This means that Noculum Ignis damage kind of outscales any of the other fire-based pals, making this one, in my opinion, the best fire-based pal in the game. There's really not too much more to say to that. I mean, Iron Guardian mode just gives him such a massive damage increase. Now, in order to find Noculum, this is the main region, and you're going to come all the way down here to this island here, and you'll see them wandering around here fairly easy. There's quite a few here, so Noculum is extremely easy to get. Alright, for our electric pal, to almost no one's surprise, we have Berserk. Now, this pal has gotten a pretty massive rework on his partner skill called Ferocious Thunder Dragon. While in this party, hitting an enemy with a bullet increases the attack and defense of pals fighting alongside you by 1% for 5 seconds. This effect can stack up to 30 times, which whenever you max his partner skills out, this becomes 150% in total when you're fully buffed, which is an astronomical number. And this is by and large the reason why this pal is easily the best pal in the game for a electric based pal. Is just his partner skill is just so overwhelmingly good. It just makes every other pal in the party just so much better. So having this pal here as an electric pal is just really good. With that in mind, I know that not everyone wants to play a Zerk, and most importantly, sometimes you want to build a pure, like, just the pal itself fighting alongside you, and it's just doing its damage. In that case, Prexter Lux, if I said that name right, I probably butchered it. It's probably going to be the best pal for you if you're looking for like just a combatant. The reason for that is Ozark can't benefit from lethal laser or from laser rail, and some of their skills have really long windups, so the overall damage of the pal actually just fall behind. As you can see here, he access to lethal laser, one of the best skills for a lightning pal, and so he's just going to be better if we're talking about from a pure, you throw the pal out and the pal is actively fighting, he outperforms by quite a bit. Now obviously I'm going to link both of these pals because this is one of those more nuanced pals that we're talking about, so both. So in order to find a Zerk, this is the world tree. Unfortunately, you got to come here, but we got to go to the Remnant Riverside, and within this area you'll find him wandering around this location. Right. And for Prexter Lux, or whatever the hell his name is, you're going to come all the way over here to the Sandstone Gate outlet and come over here and fight him here. There's like a little underground entrance that will lead you to the alpha version, but there are some normie ones at the top that you can grab there. Alright, next we're going to the water pals, and starting off with Xiaolong. Xiaolong is a fairly new pal, and not only one of the coolest looking new pals in my opinion. Look at this pal, so damn cool. This is actually one of the better attacking pals in the entire game. It's extremely competitive to Neptilius, and from what I can tell, I believe it can scale better than Neptilius when it comes to his overall damage. Just to take a look at the other pal I have here, which is Neptilius, which would be competitive. His damage isn't even that far off, and considering this guy has Legend, Lonker, and he's a boss version, their damage is extremely good, and he's over level too. So yeah, this is one of the better pals in the game. I would highly recommend picking it up. Just damage wise, just pretty damn solid. The other pal I want to talk about is Panthalis, and I think this pal is very solid. I like what it brings to the table, but this pal is very limited when we talk about him. He can only appear, like, you can only have one of them deployed at certain situations. He has limitations on when he can be deployed, and generally speaking, while his bombardment is super good, and I actually really like this pal overall, it just can't be summoned more than one to a base, and because of that, it just makes him not playable. I didn't want to even consider putting him into the fight video, but I did want to point him out because he is new and he's kind of cool looking pal, so just keep that in mind. Of course, I'm gonna give you location of both. For Xiaolong, he's gonna be generally in this area in the world tree. I just see him floating around here all the time. The closest teleporter would be the Gilded City Ruins or the whimsical Wisteria Grove. Just kind of head over here to this area. And for Neptilius, over here near the desert and ice area, you will have a Elden Ring thing you go underground to, and you can face off against them. All right, next for our neutral pal, we have Heartless. Now, this is another one of those examples of just a pal that is just overly dominant in its field. The next best pal would be Palladius, which again, just like Necromos, I didn't get yet. But Heartless is very, very good. The main reason for this is it has really good exclusive skills, Divine Wing as well as Sacred Rain. Very unique, and even his Sacred Barrier is actually pretty insane. When it jumps up, it generates a barrier that blocks attacks. Defensively, pretty sound. Offensively, very solid. And just one of the coolest new pals. And you're probably looking at the background. I want to point out the boss fight of this is so damn cool. I wish I was a little bit weaker. I had some friends with this, because this would be a cooler fight. I mean, it was pretty cool in itself, even though I'm not overly strong. But one of the coolest boss fights I've seen in this game by and large. Such a cool fight, such a cool character, and yeah, it's easily the best. I really don't have too much to say. Just their skills are very solid all around, and it just does what it needs to be done. It's just a very solid neutral PAL. With that in mind, this was by far the most annoying PAL to get in the entire list, and that's why this video was delayed by like almost a day. Now, in order to get this PAL, you're going to need to do pretty much anything that has Heartellus slab fragments, like you see at the bottom left here. It looks like you have to do anything after the Celestial Sakura Caverns. So pretty much any of these can drop it. These three can drop it, as well as this one. And I gotta say, this was a nightmare to get. Took me forever to do it. I had to do multiple runs. And yeah, it's gonna take forever to get it. Now, outside of that, you could come over here to the Crystalline Archipelagos, and there's like a cave located here on this little hill here that has a chance to drop the full-fledged slab. Otherwise, you're purely at the mercy of your expedition. Hopefully your expedition is up to stuff, because mine was not. It was like 75%. So yeah, this was an absolute pain to get this PAL, but super worth it in my opinion. For our next PAL, we're going to be taking a look at Paradon, and this is obviously going to be under our ground PALs. Now, the reason why this PAL stands out is purely because its partner skill in combination with its exclusive skills really make him a outstanding PAL. His partner skill is increased players and PALs damage to enemies afflicted with Muddy by 50%. And since all his exclusive skills, which are super good, especially Sand Twisters in my opinion, this really increases damage by a significant amount, making him the better damage PAL compared to others. Now, the other one that is competitive is a fan favorite, if I can go to the menu, and that is Anubis. And for Anubis, the outstanding feature of this one is, since his hitbox is much smaller, it does have better survivability. But Paradon is going to be my specific go-to, because I've used Anubis significantly, you know, in the past. But yeah, these two are going to be your best go-to options. Now, in order to find Paradon, he's going to be over here on this island. It's going to be the Flame Pulse Elves. And yeah, you can come over here and pick him up fairly easy. And then Anubis, he is always here in the desert region. I mean, not really desert region, but the grass desert region. All right, moving on to our ice pals. I don't think anyone is too surprised by this pal, and that's going to be Frost Stallion. Frost Stallion has always been a fan favorite pal. One of the coolest pals and one of the hardest pals I've ever fought early on in my Palworld career. Keep in mind though, while Frost Stallion is still the best, the second option would be Moldron Chris. Now, I want to keep in mind that Frost Stallion is still the best if you're actively riding on him. Now, if you do get off of him and you're only taking into consideration just being on the ground and Frost Stallion is actively being controlled by himself, then Moldron will have a slight DPS advantage. So it's really cool to see that there are two different, ice pals that can be filled in depending on the condition that you put upon yourself. Again, some players want to be on their mounts, other players don't want to be. When you're not on your mount, this is going to be the pal that you go for. So these are really solid options. Frost Stallion can be found over here in the ice region next to the garden beneath the Astral Mountains teleport. So right here you can find Frost Stallion. And within the World Tree, not far from the abandoned laboratory, you're going to find Moldron Chris here. So go ahead and pick up both these pals. They're both really solid. All right, finally moving on to our dragon pals, we're going to be taking a look at Sylvegus and the second option, which is going to be Xiaolong. So Sylvegus is, in my opinion, the best pal that's going to be used. It's not only mechanically one of the best pals in the game, easily one of the most mechanically best dragon pal in the game, but its partner skill is also something I as a player super value. It gets reduced shield regeneration delay by 30%, which is really nice because I've noticed since the last time I played Palworld that the recharge delay on shields are super annoying. So this actually really helps it, and also makes your shield take 65% less damage, which makes your shield significantly more effective. If you're a regular watcher of the channel, you know how much I value defensiveness. I always go with defensive based builds. So pals like this one is really cool to have in a team. The other option is going to be Xiaolong for the reasons we specifically said before. His flat damage is very good overall. The only negative with this pal is his hitbox is much bigger, and defensively, when we're talking about Sylvegus, he's going to obviously be significantly more defensive compared to other pals in general. So when we talk about dragon-based pals, Shenlong and Sylvegus is going to be better. I think Sylvegus is going to be the go-to, such a cool pal, but go ahead and pick your the pal you want. Keep in mind, Jet Dragon is also very good. I think he has a higher flat damage than the other two, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, these guys have other things they bring to the table that make them slightly better, in my opinion, but still really good pals all around. For Sylvegus, you're going to come over here to the Fey Island. You're going to take the Shield Dragon Tunnel. You'll find him sitting in here, fairly easy to get to. And for Shenlong, you're going to come over here to the Gilded City Ruins or the Whimsical Wisteria Grove within the World Tree. They'll be floating around in this area. There's usually a ton of those guys here. And there you have it, guys. That is it for this video. As I said a second ago, every pal has their value. You don't have to pick one or the other. I would say just, you know, try to experiment with each of these, as they may fit your style and personality a lot different. Each of these are viable, so they're really good. Of course, this is more of a surface level take on this. If you want a little bit more of an expert look at it, go check out the Pal Professor as well as Palworld Raise. These guys do this for, you know, their whole career, so they know Palworld significantly better than me. Of course, they will be linked down in the description. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or even corrections, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I'll take a look at them. If you appreciate the work that goes into these videos, consider leaving me a like, leave a comment, or even better yet, subscribe. Still trying to grow as a small content creator. As always, guys, my name is Fervor. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next Palworld video very soon.